The Synchro Dragons are some of the most iconic Synchro Dragons to grace our screens. When you think of Synchro Dragons, no one can deny that one of the 5 will instantly hit your brain. In today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the most powerful Synchro Dragons to impact not only your brain, but the Yu-Gi-Oh community as a whole. And we start off our list with number 10 at Phantasmal Lord Ultimate Bishbaalkin. Bishbaalkin is one of the few Synchros that don't have a level, but instead has a requirement to be summoned by using 2 level 8 monsters, with one being a tuner and the other a non-tuner. However, it is treated as level 12 while it's on the field. The level 12 Synchro Dragon couldn't be destroyed by card effects and gains 1000 attack for each monster on the field. What helps this card sneak onto this top 10 list is that during either player's main phase, you can special summon as many Utaj Mime tokens as possible to both players' sides of the field. This helps with this card's continuous effect to gain attack for each monster on the field. That meant Bishbaalkin can go up to 10,000 attack if all monster zones are available. It also generates one of the most useful resources in the game. Tokens are generally bodies that can be used for almost any game plan, whether for tributing or extra deck plays. However, Bishbaalkin and his token generation were utilized more uniquely, and by unique we mean more like degenerate. Bishbaalkin had an FTK on Master Duel, in which you would summon Bishbaalkin, use its effect to generate tokens, and then use the tokens you have to link climb into Geodate or Transverser. Use its effect to swap Bishbaalkin and a monster on your opponent's side of the field that the Transverser's link arrows are pointing to, then work your way into making number 33 Konomali Maku Mech to destroy Bishbaalkin and burn your opponent for game. This led to Bishbaalkin taking a trip to the ban list on Master Duel where it remains today. Token generation and FTK potential are all the more reasons for a monster to be viewed as a threat in the game, and recognized as a strong Synchro Dragon. And at number 9, we have Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. While the OG Stardust Dragon lives in our hearts and souls rent-free, its retrain has been more appeasable to the TCG. This level 8 Synchro Dragon on Synchro Summon lets you special summon a level 2 or lower tuner from your graveyard. It also has a quick effect during the main phase, which lets you tribute this monster to special summon the original Stardust Dragon, treat it as a Synchro Summon, and then immediately perform a Synchro Summon using monsters you control for it. The monster summoned by this effect is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects for the turn. Quick effect Synchro Summoning has had its usefulness in the game for many years, allowing players to make strong Synchros on your opponent's turn, which can disrupt their gameplay. While there's other Synchros that have offered the ability to Synchro Summon on your opponent's turn, Excel gives you an extra leg up by making whatever you Synchro Summon with this effect unaffected by activated effects for that turn. Plus, Excel Synchro's quick effect tributes it first, letting you dodge card effects that blanket it or target it, like Skill Drain and Widow Anchor. With all the tools this card had, it's no wonder why this card is known for bridging into stronger Synchro monsters. Outside of everyone having that anime mentality of going into Shooting Star Dragon and reliving that epic Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds moment, the TCG would primarily use this for making Baronne de Fleur, as it took little resources to make it, and gives you the option to make it either on your turn to protect your plays, or on your opponent's turn to have a guaranteed interruption. And flying into number 8 is Cosmic Blazar Dragon. Blazar first appeared in the TCG set to Duelist Saga. The 4000 attack and defense level 12 dragon takes a 1 tuner Synchro monster, plus 2 or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. They could only be Synchro summoned, and once per turn, its quick effect lets you banish it to activate one of its effects, where you can negate the activation of an opponent's card or effect and destroy it, negate the summoning of an opponent's monster and destroy it, or negate an opponent's declared attack and end the battle phase. As per usual, cards like Cosmic Blazar don't generally see play due to how much material is used to make it. Needing to use a tuner Synchro plus 2 extra Synchros is a heavy amount of resources to put into this card. It generally saw no play or was just used by dedicated Synchron players. As fortune may have it, the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG now has decks that are able to cheat it out. What player wouldn't capitalize on putting a card that has an Omni Negate and a Walking Solemn Judgment with high stats on board? Its quick effect also works highly in your favor. If this card gets negated by something like Dark Ruler No More, Effect Veiler, or Forbidden Droplets, you can still banish Cosmic Blazar Dragon and then bring it back during the end phase, minus the ability to negate your opponent's cards. Blazar's cost effect is banishing it and bringing it back during the end phase. as stated in one whole clause. This differentiates it from cards like its predecessors, Stardust Dragon or Shooting Star Dragon, whose effect to special summon themselves during the end phase are separate from their cost effect. This allowed you to dodge harmful effects that would make you potentially lose Blazar Dragon, and keep your big, strong 4000 attack dragon on board for the next turn with its effects turned back on. And descending into number 7, we have Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. If this card is synchro summoned, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. And if you do, you can add one of the excavated light or dark monsters to your hand, and then send the remaining cards to the graveyard. You can also banish a light and dark monster from your hand and or graveyard except this card, to special summon this card from your graveyard, but then it's banished when it leaves the field. We could have just ended this segment with the first effect and understood why this card made the list. Generic milling power has always been a powerful mechanic in the TCG due to how many decks in the game utilize cards and effects in the graveyard. To have the ability to send 4 to 5 cards to your grave of a synchro summon was more than enough to warrant Chaos Ruler to see play in the meta. While it did have a home in Dragon Link and was one of the key main reasons why Dragon Link stayed strong in the TCG for so long, the real havoc it caused was being part of the Punk engine, which at the time became splashable with Emergency Teleport Return to 3 around 2020. With the Punk engine, players were able to have the resources to synchro into Chaos Ruler and then mill the necessary tools they needed to proceed with their combos. One of those decks that splashed Chaos Ruler since they had access to it was none other than the Tier 0 tier limits. With Chaos Ruler, tier limit monsters sent to the graveyard would get their effects resolved since the requirements only need to be sent to the graveyard by card effect. The alternative would be that Chaos Ruler gets negated, but you'd still have your tier limits engine and normal summon due to the Punk engine, causing your opponent to use their resources. Chaos Ruler would see the ban list in 2022, it most likely won't come off the list due to how powerful graveyard cards and effects are in the game. And at number 6, we have Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This level 9 water dragon was, and still is, recognized as one of the best level 9 synchros to ever be printed. When synchro summoned, you banish 1 card from your opponent's field, graveyard, and hand. This effect was non-targeting, non-destruction removal on a not even once per turn. This led to Trishula being the most seen synchro in loops, being summoned multiple times during a turn, and essentially hand looping your opponent's cards and leaving them with no resources. While this card was seen in many notable synchro decks like TG and synchro decks, the one that truly abused it the best was Infernities, whose monsters had soft once per turn recurability from the grave with Infernity Necromancer, Mirage, and Launcher, and Infernity Archfiend, who could search any of your Infernity cards when you had no cards in hand. Add in the fact that Infernity had a tuner with Infernity Beetle, they could make synchros that could copy effects and return cards like Brionic and 100 Eyes Dragon, and XCs like Levier bringing back the cards banished by 100 Eyes. You had a formula that could special summon Trishula from anywhere from 3 to 6 times in one turn, effectively banishing every card out of your opponent's starting hand and winning the game. This loop is so recognized that in Duel Links, Kaylin has voice lines for summoning it, even though the character has no connection to this card in any series of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, of course, like most of the Infernity cards, Brio and Trish were put in timeout with their papers. Trishula was banned in 2012, limited, then semi-limited, then finally put to 3 where it currently remains today. And at number 5, we have Borreload Savage Dragon. Generic materials? Check. Over-centralized on boards? Check. Omni-negate? Check and check. Borreload was a necessity on almost every end board in the TCG. The level 8 Dark Dragon took 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuners to make. On Synchro Summon, it equipped a link monster from your grave to it, gained counters equal to that monster's link rating, gained attack equal to half of the equipped monster's attack, and of course, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can remove a counter from Borreload to negate the activation of that card. Believe it or not, this card was considered passably decent when it first entered the TCG, mostly due to Master Rule 4 complicated interactions of monsters that were non-link extra deck monsters. After the Master Rule 4 revisions came out, the card almost immediately became a must-have on your end board, whether it was seen in Halki Fibrax era or used in its home of Dragon Link. Snake Eyes would be the final straw, as it was always featured with the big 3 alongside Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, and Baronne de Fleur as an unbreakable setup on first turn. Being part of an end board that had multiple negates made it nearly impossible for anyone going second to break, causing them to sack multiple resources and hoping they have enough by the time they use all your negates. Even before that, due to how easy it was to make Borreload in certain decks, It could be placed on the field in the middle of your combo to protect your field from your opponent's hand traps. While it's not the greatest Omni negate in the game, it had the best trait going for it, which is accessibility for any deck that can access synchros and links, guaranteeing that it would see play until it was banned in April of 2024. And at number 4, we have Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Dracoslayer. During the Pendulum era, Ignister was considered one of, if not the most powerful synchro of all time. Ignister lets you target one pendulum monster on the field or in the pendulum zone, destroy it, and if you do, shuffle one card on the field into the deck. It also allowed you to special summon a Dracoslayer monster from the deck in face-up defense position, but it couldn't be used for a synchro summon. The first effect was fantastic, as it could pop either player's pendulum card for the shuffle, allowing you the option to disrupt your opponent's strategy and get rid of 2 other cards. Or pop your own pendulum scales to set up a new pendulum scale, and still flip a card back into your opponent's deck, which was a non-targeting spin. This was a godsend since popular meta decks had cards that couldn't be targeted, like Cosmo Dark Destroyer and Magic Spectre Unicorn Kirin. The card was removal and combo extender all in one, and was a must-have in almost every pendulum-based deck. Pepe utilized it to pop Plush Fire to get its floating effect to get a Performage monster to continue your combo. The card even helped out Draco Pals, which was the newer version of Pepe after important cards like Plush Fire, Wavering Eyes, and Performapal Monkey Board got hit on the ban list, as its effect to summon a Dracoslayer monster meant you could plug in more Dracoslayer cards to make up for the loss of the cards hit in the deck. Ignister kept Pendulum strong and versatile all the way up till its limitation in 2016. It's currently unlimited and power crept, as are most pendulum-based strategies, due to Master Rule 4 Revision's new way for how pendulums are played. And at number 3, we have Bystial Despater. This level 10 Dark Dragon was always designed for meta plays since its introduction to our favorite children's card game. Despater already piqued players' ears with its effect, where you can target a banished light or dark monster and special summon it to your field. On top of having recurring cards from being banished, when your opponent activates a monster effect, its quick effect lets you target one banished card, shuffle into the deck, then if you shuffled it into your deck, destroy the monster. If you shuffled it into your opponent's deck, negate that activated effect. So not only did Despater allow you to retrieve a banished monster from either player's banished pile, but it also lets you utilize both players' banished piles as tool for interrupting. The requirements aren't as hard to get either for Despater, as it needs a tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner dragon monsters. Dragon Links and other decks like Primite Blue Eyes can easily make Despater, as well as decks that can splash in cards like an Access Dragons. This being, most likely, you guessed it, the Bystial package. Let's not also forget that the first effect of special summoning from the banishment zone also can enable loops. Enter everyone's favorite hand ripper, Psyframe Lord Omega, the notorious psychic synchro whose quick effect banishes it and one card from your opponent's hand until your next standby phase. This effect alone was what got it hit to 1, as multiple copies could loop nearly every card out of your opponent's hand. Despater brought back that fear, as players would make Omega, snatch a card, and then use Despater to bring back Omega to rip another. This combo first turn already leaves your opponent with 4 cards to work with, and fuel for you to use Despater's interruption effect. And at number 2, we have Crimson Dragon. Why wouldn't a card that allows you to special summon a Dragon Synchro from your extra deck on a quick effect not make this Dragon Synchro list? This level 12 Dragon Synchro with 0 attack and defense can target any of your level 7 or higher Synchro monsters to return this card to the extra deck to special summon a Dragon Synchro from your extra deck with the same level. Since it's yet again another generic Synchro monster, it allows your deck to bridge into what would otherwise be difficult synchros to make. With so many Dragon Synchros in the game, not even including the ones on our list, the possibilities of what you could bring out with this are vast, as long as you could match the level of the Dragon Synchro you're trying to make. And by the way, the summon is also treated as a proper synchro summon. One of the decks that could get the best use of Crimson Dragon was Centurion. Centurion can easily make synchros as large as 12. On your opponent's turn, they could put out a monster on the field, use stand-up Centurion's effect to immediately summon into Crimson Dragon, where you can use its effect to target Auxilla to return Crimson Dragon to the deck and special summon Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity, who, when synchro summon, prevents your opponent from activating cards or effects on the field this turn. Since Crimson Dragon's effects treats this as a proper synchro summon, there was no way for your opponent to really escape this lock. Even with Calamity Lock being neutered with Calamity being banned, this hasn't stopped Crimson Dragon from seeing play. Whether Vanadium was used to cheat out Despater, or Blue Eyes using to cheat out Cosmic Blazar Dragon from earlier in this list, Crimson Dragon's ability to bridge powerful Synchro Dragons makes it nearly a necessity to any deck that can make it. And finally, the number 1 Synchro Dragon goes to Ancient Fairy Dragon. AFD is the definition of a card going from harmless to really degenerate. However, it wasn't that Ancient Fairy Dragon was overpowered, but what made it a code red threat was the evolving state of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. The level 7 Light Dragon allowed you to special summon a level 4 monster from your hand once per turn, but you couldn't collect your battle phase the turn you used the effect. It also lets you destroy a field spell to gain 1,000 life points and then add a field spell from your deck to your hand. Around the early Synchro era, AFD's effect was really downplayed. The battle phase was seen as vital, and players weren't willing to sacrifice their battle phase just for a low-level monster. Field spells were also in a bad place, as they weren't anything strong, as most of them were just either stat boosters or just really gimmicky. That all changed as the game went on. As heavy combo decks started to take over, creative FTKs were being formed, and field spells started to get stronger and stronger, which were being utilized as an important piece in the game. Field spells have evolved to the point that even cards used just to search them, like Terraforming Metaverse, are limited, and heavy combo decks don't cherish the battle phase, as making a strong board has now become the main narrative of almost every deck. If you look at almost any field spell heavy strategy or degenerate combo, you'll see Ancient Fairy Dragon in the deck list, as its effect fits the mold for any extensive field spell or heavy combo deck. Spiral, Divine Wind FTK, Adventure Pile, Tearlaments, Kashtira, Tenpai. There's even a deck called Field Spell Control, where players would place multiple strong field spells that search a variety of monsters from said field spells, and then cheat those monsters out with AFD, and create setups to limit your opponent's plays. AFD was banned in 2018. But came off the list errata and limited to 1, where the effect now makes you destroy as many field spells as possible, and the field spell you get from the deck has to be a different one from the ones you destroyed, and both of its effects are now on a hard once per turn. Did that stop Ancient Fairy Dragon from seeing play? Not really. In a game where we pay ludicrous amounts of life points, banish cards to draw or search to gain any type of advantage, slapping a hard once per turn on a card that searches for any field spell, and special summons monsters from hand for a phase is a light sentence. All the more reason to have Ancient Fairy Dragon be our number 1 Synchro Dragon.
There, now no one will ever know.
You know what else people will never know? These amazing deals! Did you know if you head to TheDuelLogs.com you can get a mystery box with all kinds of TCG related merch, including some Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Did you follow me out here?
What do you think a deal like this would cost a normal person?
I must be hallucinating.
No, not $8,000, only $59.99. Buy more than one item from the store and only pay one small shipping fee for everything.